I've had quite a long and varied career up into this point, so I wanted to spend some time, do a deep dive, if you even care, to know how I got started, what got me to where I'm at, and some of the biggest lessons that I learned along the way. I actually got started in this industry really young. I was probably 12 years old because I started volunteering doing professional video work at a church. It was live IMAG projection. In hindsight, this was kind of a unique opportunity to get access to such high-level production equipment at such a young age. I didn't even know what I was really doing at the time, but I knew I loved video. I had grown up filming with my dad's camcorder, making silly home movies with Legos and action figures, and just telling stories in the living room. When I realized that's kind of what I wanted to do, I tried to do as much of it as I could. So I was volunteering on the weekends at church, doing probably 3 or 4 church services every single weekend when I was 12 or 13 years old. From there, I continued volunteering, shooting videos throughout the week, and actually helping edit a lot of them. That's how I learned, was back in the day on Final Cut 7. That took me through most of high school, where I was still academically involved. I did football, I did all the normal high schooler things, but I was actively working each and every weekend, doing video production of all shapes and sizes. Once it was time to make a choice for college, I decided I wanted to double down and continue my career in video and film. And at that time, Arizona State University had opened up a film and media program. So I stayed in state for the next 4 years. And honestly, I learned a lot in college, but I'd also say I learned far more from the experience before, as well as all the work I was still doing on the side.
I don't even know what you said, but it made me laugh.
At that point, I was picking up odd jobs here and there, still working at the church on the weekends, doing as much as I could to shoot and edit and learn and just create content.
Seconds, and then like, oh yeah, I'm gonna turn off the camera. If we need it, I'll put some pillows in the bed and we'll... You can barely see that anyway.
This was before content creator was even a thing, but I was actively watching YouTube videos.
Just 2 guys and we're having a good time.
And making my own silly sketches with my friends. Throughout high school and college, video was always that great way to complete a project. Instead of writing a paper or giving a presentation, oftentimes I would choose to make a video instead. And I really liked that, and so did the classes. After college, it was finally time for me to get a job. And although I really like freelance work and working odd jobs here and there, I had done enough of those up until that point that full-time opportunities were opening up. I didn't get any jobs from networking at college. It was working in my spare time that really opened up those doors. So I ended up taking a full-time job at a company called Shino's Media. They were doing all sorts of cutting edge things in the digital video space, and I was glad that I still had the opportunity to stay in Arizona and have a full-time job. Working at Shino's, I was both a shooter and an editor, and was fortunate enough to get the opportunity to work on pretty big projects with people like Candace Cameron, Kate Walsh, Nigel Barker, it's genius, Tony Braxton, as well as with major brands like John Frieda, Kia, Verizon, Coca-Cola, P&G, and so many more. It was an eye-opening experience. And the coolest part was we were doing it all on the internet. After that, I started working at a video marketing company as their director of video, where I got to lead an entire team.
Got all the batteries off charge?
Yep.
On so many custom video campaigns for a lot of major players in the health and medical space. Companies like 23andMe, Invitae, Natera, Genomic Health, and Dignity Health. It was during this time that I really got to travel for work. I basically flew all over the country each and every week doing new video projects.
We drove into Vegas yesterday and now we're heading over to start setting up for the shoot.
For new clients all the time. I had to get really good at adapting to change and circumstance, figuring out what lighting was gonna work for the room we were in, or how we would tell a compelling story in just 3 minutes. This is where I honed my skills on shrinking things down, making everything as compact as possible so it was lightweight and we could travel with it anywhere in the country, in fact, anywhere in the world. After that, I was brought on as the creative director for Grateful Ventures, a subsidiary of USA Today. So now I wasn't working just on video, it was also photo, graphic design, web development. My responsibilities continued to expand, and so did my experience. We got to focus on telling stories and creating content that resonated with an audience. It was frightening. It wasn't enough just to make a pretty video. It had to be a video that people wanted to watch. The nature of that work was always changing and evolving and adapting to the seasons. These are 3D carvings in the pumpkin using pottery tools. Sometimes we'd be working with influencers and bloggers. Other times we'd be working with celebrity chefs and fashion designers. And other times we'd be creating content ourselves, just based on what was happening in our own backyard. That was probably the one point in my career that stretched my creativity the most. It can be easy to build formulas and templates and kind of recreate the same thing week after week. But I was lucky enough to have the opportunity where we were always doing something different. That video team evolved into its own custom franchise called Problem Solved. At the time, hacks were starting to trend in the video space, but they were kind of silly and gimmicky. If you think of 5-minute crafts, you probably know what I'm talking about. We wanted to take the hack format and give it personality and give it purpose by creating helpful hacks that people would actually do and use. This was in the midst of all the chaos of 2020, and yet somehow we were able to make it all work and stand out across a variety of platforms. You see, I'm a firm believer in creating the content first and using the platforms as distribution. There are some really smart ways that you can do that, so you don't have to make just TikToks or just YouTube Shorts. You can make content that can be everything, everywhere, all at once. And there's nothing better than reading those friendly comments on a viral video saying, hey, this helped me, or hey, this worked. Thank you so much. Creating content and building audiences is what I love doing. I like helping people, entertaining them, and giving them something they haven't seen before. There's no way to recreate my career path, but one thing that I've learned and that stood out the most to me is just saying yes. Be open to opportunity, get involved, work as much as you can, and the opportunities will show up knocking at your door. As long as you do a good job and you're reliable and responsible, you should have no problem finding work. It may take time and it might not be exactly what you want to do, but you never know what seed planted is going to bear fruit in 5 or even 10 years. There's a lot of connections that I've made over the years that weren't direct relationships of a client or a financial purpose to work together. But that networking has actually referred me to other clients and other projects and other jobs, to where I've been blessed to work with so many unique and interesting people. I love this work. It's what I've always done, and I hope it's what I always get to do. Of course, this video can only scratch the surface. There are so many stories to be told about all these crazy adventures over the years, but I'm really glad for these experiences, the friendships I've made, and the work that I've been able to do. There's nothing better than hitting upload on that finished video, seeing the reaction to it, and then moving on to the next one. I've learned so much, but there's still plenty I don't even know that I don't know yet. I'm always looking forward to tomorrow, the next week, the next month, and the next year to see what's up next. Thank you for hanging out and hearing my story. It's been a pretty wild and bumpy ride, but I can't imagine having it any other way.
What do I say? Other than how great of a video this was, and if you want to watch more videos, we have them right here. If you want to subscribe, here. I thought that was pretty good.